Look at a tree. Really look at one. That enormous living thing, sometimes weighing close to 2,000 tons, as heavy as 10 blue whales, is not eating from the ground. It is not drinking from the ground. It is not growing from the ground in any way you were probably taught to believe. It is eating the air. Right now, silently, continuously. Every tree you have ever seen has been pulling itself out of thin air and anchoring the result into the earth with a root system so sophisticated it makes our best engineering look clumsy. But here is where it gets genuinely strange, because that is only half the story. Beneath the surface, those roots are running operations so complex, mining rock, navigating mazes, building trade alliances with entirely different life forms, that we are only now beginning to understand what is actually going on down there. So, how does a tree eat air? And what on earth is happening underground? Let's start with the obvious question nobody actually asks. A tree is made of stuff. Real, physical, heavy stuff. Wood, bark, leaves, roots, material that has mass and takes up space. So where did all that material come from? Most people assume the ground. Trees grow in soil. Soil has things in it. The tree must be absorbing all that material and building itself from it. But here is the problem. If a tree weighing 2,000 tons ate 2,000 tons of material from the ground around it would have a very large hole, and there is no hole. The soil around a tree looks almost identical to soil with no tree at all. So where did the tree come from? The answer is carbon. And carbon does something remarkable. It floats. Carbon is the most useful building material life has ever found. A chemical multi-tool so flexible you can make almost anything from it. And a significant amount of it drifts invisibly through the air in the form of carbon dioxide, Cal ash. Over 1 billion years ago, the ancestors of plants figured out something no other life form had managed. They learned to pull carbon directly out of the air and use it to build themselves. And they became so extraordinarily good at this that today, plants make up 80% of all living mass on Earth. Every animal alive, including you, is eating carbon that was once floating in the sky and got pulled down by a plant. Trees are the most ambitious version of this trick. They decided to go big, extremely big. But the atmosphere is only about 0.04% CO2, 425 molecules per million. To build a single ton of carbon, a tree has to process roughly 6,000 tons of air, around 5 million cubic meters. That is an almost incomprehensible industrial operation. And trees solved it by building one of the most sophisticated processing facilities in the natural world, their crowns. A tree's crown is not decoration. It is a factory network of staggering scale. Dozens of branches feed into hundreds of sub-branches, splitting into thousands of twigs, each capable of sensing sunlight and adjusting its position to capture as much as possible. The entire crown is a slow-motion machine, constantly optimizing its configuration to face the sun. At the tips of those twigs hang the production units, leaves. A single mature tree can carry up to 1 million of them. And each leaf is a marvel of miniaturized engineering. A leaf is made of hundreds of millions of tightly packed cells, built to be as thin and wide as possible, maximizing surface area while minimizing the distance gases have to travel. While your skin is hundreds of cells thick, a leaf can be just 10 cells top to bottom. The outer surface is a single transparent layer of protective cells, letting light through and keeping water in. Beneath sit dense rows of factory cells stuffed with chloroplasts, the actual machines doing the work. Below those is a spongy loose layer enabling gases to circulate. Running through everything is a network of microscopic veins, highways carrying water and minerals in from the roots and shipping finished sugars back out. At the bottom of the leaf are the mouths, hundreds of thousands of them on a single leaf, called stomata. Each one is a tiny adjustable opening flanked by 2 guard cells that swell or shrink to open and close it, looking, if you zoom in far enough, remarkably like a pair of lips. Every day an adult tree pulls dozens of liters of water from its roots all the way up to these tiny mouths. About 95% of it is sweated straight back out, not wasted but deliberate. The evaporation cools the leaf factories, which need to stay in direct sunlight without overheating. It creates an invisible mist of vapor around the tree. When billions of trees do this together, the vapor can seed clouds and trigger rainfall. The word rainforest is not metaphor. The Amazon does not just benefit from rain, it creates it. Remove the trees and you remove the mechanism generating the moisture. Without them, it would eventually become dry shrubland. The remaining 5% of the water powers photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, in its simplest form, works like this. The energy from sunlight splits water molecules apart, separating hydrogen from oxygen. The oxygen gets ejected. This is where the oxygen you are breathing right now came from, the waste product of trees and plants doing their accounting. The leftover hydrogen combines with QOS pulled in through the stomata. From those two ingredients, hydrogen stripped from water and carbon pulled from air, factory cells build glucose, a simple sugar serving as both fuel and raw material, the fundamental currency of almost all life on Earth. But trees cannot just make glucose and stop. They need to use it, and using it requires burning it. The tree runs a constant process of cellular respiration, pulling oxygen back in through leaf mouths, cracks in bark, even tiny air pockets in soil around its roots, and burning stored glucose to power everything it does. This never stops. Day and night, in every living cell of the tree, energy is being consumed. At night, when the leaf factories go dark and photosynthesis stops, respiration keeps running. The tree quietly breathes in the dark. And here is something most people never hear. Trees actually consume much of the oxygen they produce. The rest gets used up by the enormous community of microbes living around them. Most of Earth's free oxygen comes not from trees, but from algae and cyanobacteria in the oceans, single-celled organisms running the same trick at oceanic scale. Trees matter enormously for climate, for water, for life. But the oxygen story is more complicated than we were taught. Now, the underground. Everything so far, crown, leaves, photosynthesis, is the visible half of the tree. The underground half is stranger and in many ways more impressive. Most water comes from rainfall soaking into upper soil layers. But a tree's crown is essentially a giant umbrella, intercepting rainfall and deflecting it outward. So roots cannot grow straight down. They spread wide, extending far beyond the crown edge to catch water that has fallen past the canopy. About half of a tree's roots are packed into the top 25 centimeters of soil, not deep, wide, a dense tangled mat extending in all directions, interweaving with neighboring roots. Only in extreme drought do roots push straight down, sometimes more than 20 stories deep. But this is rare. Most roots stay shallow and spread. Water is only part of what roots are after. A tree needs phosphorus to build DNA, nitrogen for proteins, dozens of other trace minerals, all stealthily buried underground in rock and soil, scattered unpredictably, chaotically. To navigate this shifting maze, roots evolved a specialized sensor at their very tip, the root cap. Each cap is filled with gravity-sensing cells where tiny dense particles sink like pebbles settling in a jar, giving the root a constant sense of which way is down. Behind the cap, specialized cells detect moisture, temperature, chemical gradients, and the smallest vibrations from water. This raw data flows into the root's command center just behind the tip, where cells produce electrical pulses and move chemical signals around. A single tree has hundreds of thousands of these command centers, apparently sharing information with each other. Once a root has chosen a path, fuzzy little root hairs loaded with enzymes begin soaking up water and dissolved minerals. But many essential nutrients are locked in solid rock. So roots evolve to push into the finest cracks. Once in, they fill with water and swell like tiny hydraulic jacks, generating enough pressure to fracture even hard stone. Then they release acids dissolving the bonds holding nutrients in place. Claw-like molecules grab them before they can slip away. A tree is literally breaking rocks from the inside, slowly, patiently, continuously. But even with all of this, gravity sensors, hydraulic rock breaking, acid dissolving, trees hit a limit. The finest cracks are too small for even root hairs. Entire pockets of nutrients sit permanently out of reach, so trees found allies. Hundreds of millions of years ago, roots and fungi formed one of the most consequential trade agreements in the history of life on Earth. Fungi grow in networks of threads so fine they can slip between individual soil grains, reaching pockets of nutrients roots can never access. But fungi cannot photosynthesize. They need food. So the deal was struck. Trees send a portion of their sky-manufactured sugars down to the roots, where fungi collect them. In exchange, fungi deliver nutrients and water from deep in the soil. Some fungi grow directly into root cells, building tiny trade posts where sugars and minerals change hands. Others wrap themselves around root tips, weaving between outer layers and protecting delicate tissues from hostile microorganisms. Today, there are thousands of fungal species engaged in these partnerships. Some work only with specific tree species. Others are happy to trade with almost anyone. These connections often knit the roots of many trees together into vast underground networks. In just 1 cubic meter of healthy forest floor, fine roots can stretch for several kilometers. And for every kilometer of root, there can be hundreds of kilometers of fungal threads. It is one of the largest and most intricate living structures on Earth, and may even connect whole forests. We are only beginning to understand how complex these relationships truly are. But the more we have learned over recent decades, the clearer one thing has become: trees are just so incredibly wild, and we have so much more to learn. Here is what I want you to take away from this. The next time you walk past a tree, any tree, even a small one pushing through pavement, you are walking past something actively eating the air, something breaking rock underground, something running a trade alliance with an entirely different kingdom of life that has been operating continuously for hundreds of millions of years. We have had trees around us our entire lives. We thought we understood them. But the more science looks, really looks, the stranger and more sophisticated they turn out to be. The picture is still forming. Trees are not background. They are not scenery. They are the largest, oldest, most successful ecosystem engineers on the planet, quietly pulling carbon from the sky, breaking mountains from below, and networking forests into single living systems for hundreds of millions of years before we arrived. We have so much more to learn. If this video changed how you see the world, subscribe to Science in a Nutshell. See you in the next one.